Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome back to Needs of Children. We are discussing about 10th standard English medium social science, in that political science, unit number 3, India's relationship with other countries. Let's come to the what are the very important learning points from this lesson. In this unit, you learn some of the very important concepts like relationship between India and China, relationship between India and Pakistan, relationship between India and Russia, relationship between India and USA. So these are the learning points from the lesson India's relationship with other countries. Let's come to the introduction for this lesson. So think about that. Is this possible? Any family can never prosperous without interacting with another family. Is it possible? Can we live alone, a family? Yes, obviously that answer is no. A family can never prosperous without interacting with another family. Similarly, a country can never progress without interacting with another country. There is a close relationship between family and a country. How? Family needs to be the neighbouring families. In the same way, country is also needs to be the progress interacting with another country. So, in this globalized and modernized environment, it is inevitable for country to have relationship with another country. It is not a necessary now, it is a need. It's not a necessary, but it's a need for one country to another country's relationship or dependency. In the fourth part of our Indian Constitution, under the article number 51, international peace and coexistence is explained. Especially our Indian Constitution will give the information about article number 51, international peace and coexistence is explained. It is discussed under directive principles of state policy. India strives to have cordial relationships with other countries. As per the directions of the Constitution, we are having cordial relationship with the other countries. So let's come to the, we are going to get the relationship with major neighboring countries. Among that, India and China. So what kind of relationship we are having with China? China is a big country which borders India. The maximum border area we are sharing with China. But the relationship between India and China goes back to Mesopotamian and Sindhu river civilization times. As when we saw about the flourished of Mesopotamian civilization as well as Sindhu river civilization, from there we are having a very close relationship between India and China. Even Buddhism originated in India has found wide acceptance in China. So there is a maximum people followers of Buddhism and they are accepted the Buddhism, even though it is originated in India. The relationship between China and India goes back to the ancient times. Many Indian rulers had cordial business relationship with the Chinese rulers. If you saw many of the rulers, Vijayanagara, Mysuru and other many of the rulers, they are having the cordial relationship, heartily healthy relationship with the Chinese rulers. The silk trade between China and India is discussed in Kautilya's Arthashastra. When the trade, silk trade between India and China, it is discussed in the work name called as Kautilya's Arthashastra. When you have saw that Yuan Sang, one of the Chinese traveler who visited to India and wrote about our India's travel CUE. That is also one of the very important information is providing about the visit of India. After the emergence of India and China as two sovereign republics, sovereign, they are not under the control of any other countries. Their mutual relationships were gained by Panchashila principles. To maintain the mutual relationship, it is signed between China and India, that is Panchashila principles. A war broke between India and China due to escalation of Tibetan crisis. After the war, border disputes arose and these disputes still remain unsolved. There is one of the very important the dispute it has been created between the India and China. That war it is happened between India and China, that is Tibetan crisis. So after that incident, still there is a lot of border issues between India and China. Even we can see the insistence of China that Arunachal Pradesh, can you able to see the place of here Arunachal Pradesh? The part of Arunachal Pradesh belongs to, it is one of the main bone of contentions between the two countries. But there is a lot of attacks and invention that is by China, especially the part of Arunachal Pradesh. In spite of the border disputes and wars, the bilateral relationship between India and China has remained and continued healthy. Both the countries have the highest population and both are identified as the leading economies of the world. You can see, even though the two populated countries in the world and identified as the leading economies of the world. India has established good trade relationship between India and China 1980s, and this has further cemented its relationship. Continued efforts of India and China BRICS group of countries has been established. This further strengthened the relationship between India and China. But now the concept of BRICS 2017, that is concept of B for Brazil, R for Russia, I for India, C for China, S for South Africa. So this is the concept of BRICS. It was came into existence. But even though nowadays the present scenario, if we are going to be identified, there is a lot of aggression between the India and China, and due to that lot of they are crossing the borders. There is a lot of border disputes that has been created between the India and China. This is the relationship between India and China. Let's move on to India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan are the neighbouring countries. Pakistan is not only a neighbouring country but was an integral part of India during pre-independence. Now it is become as a country, but before it was a part of, integral part of the India before the independence. But after the Independence Act of 1947, both the countries became independent sovereign countries. You can see the part of area which is covered by Pakistan. So that is after 1947, both the countries has been declared as a sovereign countries. So after the independence, foreign relationship between both the countries it has been started. Obviously, that is considered as a after the independence between India and Pakistan, the foreign relationship it has been started. The issues like terrorism, Jammu and Kashmir issue, and water sharing disputes are the major disputes between the Pakistan and India. Both the countries have fought 3 wars till now. In order to improve the bilateral ties, both the countries many agreements like Tashkent Agreement, Shimla Agreements has been signed between India and Pakistan, even though after the 3 wars. To maintain the good relationship between India and Pakistan, Lahore Bus Yatra, Agra Conference has been entered. But agreements like this have yielded very less. This is because in spite of these bilateral talks, bilateral agreements, bilateral relationship, attacks on Indian Parliament House in the year 2001, it is created a lot of disputes between India and Pakistan. Even though that attack of Mumbai attack in 2007 is also one of the showing about the Pakistan support to terrorism. And Pathankot attack in 2016 have been continued affecting the equality of the bilateral relationships. But till so day by day, that one more the incident it is we can see between the India and Pakistan day by day it is creating a lot of a huge gap between the India and Pakistan relationship. So somewhere they are giving a lot of support to terrorism and Naxalites attacking on the Kashmir. So these are increased a lot. India and Pakistan have clashed over the years about the Jammu and Kashmir issue. So there are few similarities between the two countries. Even though these are all the differences, we can see the lot of similarities because of it is not a other country, it is an integral part of India. So both share common culture and economic ties, and mutual exchanges in the both fields have continued. Mutual trade relationship have continued ever since independence. Similarly, both have responded to each other's needed during the emergency and natural calamities. When showing off come to the concept of humanity during that time, it is both the countries have structured their helping hands. So this is the information about India and Pakistan relationship. So let's move on to India and Russia. You can see the two countries of in the world, that is India and Russia. India has cordial relationship with Russia. It had a similar relationship with United Socialist Soviet Russia also. Before it was, now it is called as the Russia. Before it was called as the United Socialist Soviet Russia, USSR. Even though India followed non-allied policy, it had good relationship with Russia in the field of economics, politics and other areas. So as you have know about what is meant by non-allied, so become neutral, not to supporting to any other countries in the world. So that is non-allied policy after the second word that was adopted by our first Prime Minister of India. But even though that adopted non-allied policy, it has very good relationship with Russia in the field of economics, politics and other areas. So you can see the first secretary of the Communist Party of Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev and Pilativo members, they greet each other between Nehru and the first secretary of USSR. Till these days, how we are maintaining the relationship with India and Russia. So USSR has opposed China's invasion of India in 1962. When China made attack on India, so that was opposed by the Russia. So during the Goa liberation in 1962, USSR had supported India at UN. Suppose the liberation of Goa and China, in almost all the situations, Russia it is supported a lot to India. USSR had supported the Tashkent Agreement between India and Pakistan in 1966, and in 1971, India and USSR signed 20 years of agreement for peace and cooperation. Both the countries, India and Russia, they have been signed agreement for 20 years with the peace and cooperation. And the USSR had supported for the establishment of Bhilai and Bokaro steel plants, the major iron and steel companies of India. To establishment of those Bokaro Steel Company and Bhilai Steel Company, USSR has supported financially. So India has taken major support from Russia to improve its industries as well as technology. Even after Russia has extended its support to India's quest for the permanent seat in UN Security Council, as we are going to be see that in the UN Security Council, Russia it has extended its support to become as a permanent member in UN. So this is about the relationship between India and Russia. The next, India and USA. You can see there United States of America and India. India and USA are democratic countries and also big countries. In the present international scenario, both India and USA have major role to play. The relationship between both the countries have found a few major shifts ever from 1947. During the bipolar world of Cold War era, India had maintained the equal distance between Russia as well as USA with adopting non-alignment policy. So as we can see, the concept of democratic countries under the USA, which are blue in color. So whereas communist countries under the Russia leadership during 1959, so that completely this cover color it is considered as a part of, whereas non-allied countries headed by India remaining. So what you are seeing, the white in color, so these are the non-allied countries in the world which are headed by the India. USA has supported a lot India's 5 years plan. What we are adapted the concept of 5-year plan, that is USA supported a lot. USA has extended its support during Indo-China War in 1965. China made an attack on India. So during that time, USA supported a lot for Indo and China War in 1965. Later, the political leaders of USA extended their support to Pakistan. During their war between India and Pakistan, many a times the foreign policy of USA has been anti-Indian, pro-Pakistan. It is supported to Pakistan but against the India. Supported to Pakistan against the India when Pakistan made an attack on. Interestingly, both India and USA have shared interest in controlling terrorism. So that is one of the very important concept. Both the countries they highlighted about controlling the terrorism. India enjoys better relationship with USA in the field of foreign trade, science and technology, whereas space science, so ISRO and NASA. So ISRO that is belongs to India, whereas NASA it is America. Education and other areas of mutual interest is provided between better relationship with India and USA. Both the countries have a mutual responsibility strengthening UNO, United Nations Organization, and maintaining of global peace. India keeps observing the policy shift in the two parties of US, because both are democratic and republic parties, and adjust its policies in accordance to it. So in this way, between India and America have both wonderful relationship. So apart from these, we have India has a cordial relationship with other neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, Afghanistan, Indonesia, and other countries. It has a wonderful, healthy relationship with these countries. So that's it about today's session. I hope you have understood till now what we are discussing. In case if you are having any doubts related to this concept, you can comment in the comment box. I will solve your doubts. I will come back in the next video. Until, keep watching my channel. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you in the next session. Bye bye.